You are already subscribed to my channel. Welcome back, my darling. And if this is your first time stopping by or you haven't already, please do subscribe to my channel and become a part of the Morgan Shay Beauty Gang. So this goes back to 4th grade, and just for the pure coincidence that she watches this or whatever, but if you know me, you're gonna know who I'm talking about anyways, but we're going to call her Mrs. Smith in this video. And she was my 4th grade teacher. Now, the way our elementary school worked was that you stayed in one class in elementary school. And then once you went to middle school, you would go to different teachers throughout the day. But in 4th grade, we had this one teacher all day, and you would be assigned to a certain class. So there would be like 5 teachers per grade, if that makes sense. And so Mrs. Smith is the teacher I was assigned to. Now, I had a friend, one of my best friends that was a grade ahead of me, and she had already warned me about Mrs. Smith and told me that she was horrible and that she hated her job and that she was going through a divorce and that she was actually talking to the students about it during the time my friend had her in class, and that she was just taking out everything going on in her divorce out on the students. Well, y'all, her divorce carried on until I got into the 4th grade. They were having a really horrible divorce. And according to her, she would tell us details. I remember her telling us she had missed like 2 or 3 days of school. And so we had a substitute. Anytime we had a substitute, just side note, was just bliss. But she comes back to school and she lets us know that her husband is going to be able to keep the house. Also lets us know that he has a new girlfriend. Like, she was letting our little 9-year-old selves know some TMI type stuff. The first big thing that happened with Mrs. Smith, which didn't involve me, so we'll get to what involves me later. There's only one big thing, but she had this in particular rule of timeout that was horrifying. So if you got in trouble, and there was no measurement of trouble for her, you were either not in trouble or in trouble. There was no in between. She would have you hold a ruler. Okay, so you all just try holding something that's like the length of a ruler and put it above your head, and you cannot touch your head. You have to keep it above your head, and depending on what you did, depends on how long you have to stand in the corner and do that. You guys, your arms will start burning. I mean, burning. I remember the one time it happened with me, I cried so bad. This one in particular day, there was a boy in my grade. I went to school with him all through school. Let's come up with a name for him. We'll call him Aaron. So Aaron was he was like the class clown. He was very mischievous. He was into everything. He was just like, I don't know, just like a normal 9-year-old little boy. And this in particular day on the playground, he was goofing around and jumping out of the swings, and he was doing it with a buddy, and one of his, the buddy that he was doing it with, when he jumped out of the swing, you guys, he fell like around our swing set with these wooden like pillars, and I will never forget when that boy hit the wooden pillar and he landed on his left side of his body. Y'all, he broke his arm. Like, oh my gosh, his arm looked like something I never seen. It was like zigzagged like a lightning strike. Like, it was crazy. That day when we come back to class, the principal gave Eric ISS, which was, that's in school suspension, meaning that you didn't do something wrong enough for OSS or out of school suspension. So you would spend however many days the principal gave you in a classroom, and you would do your work in there. You wouldn't be able to go on the playground. You wouldn't be able to eat lunch with everybody else. Well, you would eat lunch, but there was like an individual table who had ISS. It was basically detention, but you did it during school and you stayed in there all day. So that should have been his punishment, correct? No, I just said her name. Miss Smith tells him to go into the corner and to spend the rest of the day in the corner with a ruler above his head. You guys, this was at like 12:30, 1 o'clock. Like, we come back from lunch, go to the playground, and come back, and we do the rest of our work for the rest of the day. We didn't get out of school till like 3:30. This kid stood in the corner all day. You guys, his arms were like shaking, and he was like screaming and crying like 2.5, 3 hours in to the point to where one of the girls in my class, we'll call her Katie, stands up and says, "Miss Smith, stop it, you're hurting him." And she like laughs. It was so weird. She's like, and tells Aaron he can get out of the corner. So you guys, she was just very, very, very odd, a very odd character, and treated all the kids. There was not like a class pet. She didn't have that. Everybody was treated absolutely equally. So it wasn't like she just picked on several students. No. She treated every student this way. And so let's fast forward to what happened with me. We were given an assignment on the Civil War, and we had to write a 3-page paper on the Civil War. Now, let me just preface by saying that at the time I had gotten this Dotson, and his name was Dill Pickle from Rugrats. He was literally everything for me, and when our house burnt down later, he would eventually pass away, and he ate everything, you guys. There would be holes in all of our blankets. There would be holes on the rugs. Like if you had any piece of clothes, he loved panties. Like he would eat literally anything. And he always slept with me, and I had my paper setting on my bed. I had just finished it, and I set it on my bed, and I come back, and you guys, you all already see where this is going. It's literally in shreds, and I get as much as I can back from him, and I start to tape some of it back together. There was like a page that wasn't touched. But the other 2 pieces of paper are like torn into a bazillion pieces, and I'm trying to like tape them back. My mom helps me, and I'm just trying to like tape them back together, and I get them back the best I can. There's part of the paper that is just gone, and it was like bedtime. I go to bed. I don't have any time to write this paper all over again. So, and I'm in 9th grade. I'm a 9-year-old, so I'm not like, well, let me just start writing it right now, and you know, in an hour I'll have it done. No, I took it to school that way. Now, the next day at school, I walked straight up to Miss Smith, and I let her know that my dog ate my paper, literally. And I even had it like taped back up. I was like, you can literally see like bite marks in the paper where my dog ate it. And I was like, I tried taping it back together, but I couldn't tape it all back together. If you'll just give me a little bit in class, I'll rewrite it. And she was like, why didn't you rewrite it yesterday when your dog ate it? And she said, this is the sorriest excuse I've ever freaking heard. And I was like, I couldn't rewrite it. It was bedtime. I had to go to bed. That's why I'm asking you right now. Like, I'll rewrite the paper, but you can see that I wrote the paper. This isn't just an excuse. Like, my dog really ate my homework. And she was like, to the corner now. At lunch, you guys, I'm like writing as much as I can of that last page. Because like I said, the last page was like torn to shreds. I couldn't even get it all taped back together. And I go back to class, and I'm like, Miss Smith, I wrote the last page of the paper. So the second page I got pretty much taped back, and she said, here is a write-up slip. She said, you are going to have ISS tomorrow, and I need you to have your parents sign this. Well, you guys, here's the thing. I was a little goody-goody two-shoes. I did not get into trouble. It was not my thing. And at this point in life, I had never done anything wrong. Never, never. And so the last thing that I was going to do was go home and give this paper to my mama or my daddy and get my butt whipped. That was the last thing that was going to happen. So I forged my mother's name. But this is what happened the next day when I turn in that write-up slip. And I'm prepared to go to the ISS class. So I hand her the paper and I say, Miss Smith, where do I go to report to ISS? And she takes me to ISS, and I'm there for maybe, I don't even think I was there an hour, you guys. And she comes in and grabs me by my ponytail, takes me out of the classroom, drags me to the hallway outside of her classroom, is in my face right here, pointing and screaming. She's screaming so aggressively. She's spitting on me. What in the hell? Like, she's literally like talking to me like, what were you thinking? Why would you do that? Who raised you? Who raised you? And I'm like, I've never been in trouble before. I was just scared, and I tried rewriting the paper. I rewrote the third piece of the paper, yada, yada, yada. Well, of course, Miss Smith because of the way that she just behaved, does not call my mom. Because had my mom received a phone call and I told my mom that she was literally, you guys, this close to my face, and like her nail kept scratching my nose when she was pointing in my face, you guys. This is not an exaggeration. Like, she seriously acted like a loony, like a lunatic. She makes me sit in the hallway, okay? Then when I sit in the hallway, she's like, I want you to sit with your legs underneath your bottom. So basically your knees on the hard concrete floor. Then I want you to bend over and put your arms like this where your elbows are, and I want you to keep your head raised so you cannot rest your head. Well, eventually the principal sees me in the hallway, and I love that principal so much. We'll call him Mr. Sizemore. So Mr. Sizemore sees me in the hallway like that, and he's like, Miss Morgan, what are you doing? And I said, Miss Smith is making me stay like this all day. And he says, come with me. And I go with him to the office. Now, something ended up happening in class that day with a girl in my class. We'll call her Haley. And Haley had gotten in trouble for using inappropriate language in her paper. I wasn't there, so I don't know the full story, but later she told me that she had used a word that her mom and dad told her to use. I can't remember what it was. It was either like shit or damn. She was making Haley do the same thing out in the hallway. I keep saying people's real names. I got to stop. So while I'm in the principal's office, he eventually leaves. Eventually, Miss Smith, Haley come into the office, and Mr. Sizemore. And Mrs. Smith is like, these are my methods. These are the methods that I've always used. And he said, well, you're not going to use them under me. And he said, had I known that you were treating our students this way, you wouldn't have been doing it. You would have not been doing it. And he looks at me and he says, Miss Morgan, is that all that happened? And I lied and I said yes, because I was scared. I was a little 9-year-old kid and I had no idea what was going to come next. Had I known what was going to come next, I would have told him everything. I would have said yes. She got in my face. She was talking to me so mean. She spit in it. She was pointing on me. This scratch on my nose is from her. But she ended up, I guess, getting a little bit physical with Haley, which she did do the same, kind of the same thing to me. She shook me by my shoulders, but she shook Haley so hard that her head hit the wall when she shook her back. And so that right then and there, Principal Sizemore sent her home. I guess the way it actually worked is he sent her home and he got in contact with the school board, but she was fired. She never came back to the school. And this was like at the very end of my 4th grade year. And you guys, it was just crazy. She was absolutely, I mean, and scary. Like the way that she would look at you would literally put you into like just complete anxiety. About 5 years ago, I was at Walmart near where I live, and I seen Miss Smith at Walmart, and I walked right up to her. But I always wanted to, deep down, run into Miss Smith, and I did about 5 years ago at Walmart, like I said. And at first, I didn't recognize her until she turned around and faced me, and then I was like, oh, you bitch. And I walked straight up to her, and I said, hi, Miss Smith, how are you? She literally says, I'm not Mrs. Smith anymore. That bastard ain't nothing to me anymore. And she just acted very nonchalant, like nothing was wrong, like everything's normal. Anyways, that is the story of the school teacher from hell, literally the worst. I also have a story time that is about the oddest teacher I've ever had. If you all want to hear that story, please do make sure that you do like this video. Also, be sure that you are subscribed and you do comment the secret emoji down below for an extra entry into my 100 subscriber giveaway, which again, all you have to do to win is be subscribed, and for extra entries, comment the secret emoji down below. I love you guys so very much, and I'm so thankful for every single last one of you guys. So much. Again, I'm going to have my uploading schedule on the screen right now, so you can see when I'm going to be uploading. But do be sure that you do have your notification bell cut on for your convenience, so you're alerted when I do upload, in case I do upload an extra video. Anyways, you guys, I love you, and I'll see you in the next one.